The way that we design websites changes every year. There's either a new platform that emerges or there's an update on an existing platform that sounds super exciting, and it can really be overwhelming for web designers in picking which platform that you really want to learn and become an expert in. And in this video, I'm going to rank my top favorite website platforms in 2025 and my predictions for those top rankings for 2026. So let's jump into the video. Hey everyone, my name is Megan. I have been a graphic designer for the last 9 years and I have worked with so many amazing clients. I've also had the opportunity to design so many websites. And when designing websites, I have tested out lots of platforms. I actually learned how to design websites on WordPress years ago, and which is kind of crazy because I know it's one of the most challenging platforms to learn, or one of the harder ones. But I'm so glad that I started learning on there because it's allowed me to really understand like how websites really work on the back end in the database. So I've been able to learn websites from the ground up using WordPress, but from there I've also explored around with the different platforms out there because I understand that WordPress can be a little bit more difficult for my clients to edit on their own, and it does require updates. So for those business owners that don't have the time to really manage their websites, WordPress probably isn't a great option. So without further ado, let's jump right in. We have a guest educator in here today. Leo is here to join us as I go through all of these website platforms. So let's talk about the website platform I want to talk about first, and I'll give you guys a full ranking of which ones I think are a little bit stronger right now at the end of the video. But I first want to talk about Framer. Framer is a website platform that I learned this year and I have fallen in love with it. I really do. I think every single platform I'm going to share in this video has its strengths and its weaknesses, but Framer is such a great platform for those of you who want a really visual and modern page builder effect. Like, it just has the cleanest page building style that I have really worked with, and I really enjoy that it loads everything so quickly. Like, it never slows down on me, never crashes. Everything is just super easy to edit and update. But one of the strengths of Framer is the component-based designing, meaning that I can create one component and I can use that throughout the entire website. I know a lot of platforms do this, but with Framer, you can create a component, but you can still edit that component without editing where that component is used throughout the entire site. So it's a really beautiful feature because if I want to create a button, I can create the style of that button, and I can also create a secondary style of that button, and I can change the text and the links of that button throughout the entire website, maintaining the design and maintaining the style. I also have used the components a lot for creating slideshows or portfolio pieces of mine, and I like to place that throughout the site more than once, so components have really made that possible for me, and it just saves me so much time. But I also really enjoy on Framer their AI tool called Workshop. And I know a lot of us designers are scared of AI, but I think that these tools that these web platforms and design tools are adding in can really be super helpful for our process. And the Workshop tool on Framer is really amazing because I can really be creative with what I want it to create for me or what I want it to help create for me. And I can give it that prompt and just continue chatting with it until it gets that design perfect for me. So that is one of the best AI tools I've seen on a web platform so far, and it always gets it pretty accurate, and I love how I can see the AI actually writing the code for me as I'm asking the questions. So I really think you guys would enjoy the Workshop tool on Framer. But I also want to share with you guys the downsides of each of these platforms because there's always going to be pros and cons of each, and I think it's really important to think about that, especially when you guide your clients in terms of what platform they should choose. So I would say that the downside of Framer is that it isn't as robust in the CMS area. For me, it gives me enough CMS that I really need, which is for my portfolio pieces and also for my services. If you're looking for a massive blog website, or if you are going to have tons of CMS items, it might not be the best option for you because the price does go up with the more CMS items that you want to have. So it's something to keep in mind. It still is great, and I still think it will work for a blog website or really any website. I probably wouldn't use Framer for e-commerce, but if you have an informational website, portfolio website, and maybe a smaller blog, it would be a great option. but just keep in mind that the CMS is not as robust as some of the other platforms that I'm going to share with you today. So like I mentioned, Framer is really great for those use cases such as landing page, portfolio websites. It would even be great for like a photographer if they wanted to have their library of photos and maybe different CMS categories for like weddings versus couple photos. Whatever it is, I think it would be great for that. But like I mentioned, not as great for e-commerce because you will likely have to integrate a different e-commerce platform into Framer. So probably not the best option for that, but it is still a great tool. Highly recommend checking it out because I have really been pleasantly surprised about it. And I think it'll be really cool to see in 2026 how much Framer grows and evolves and really starts to add on more of those features that it's kind of lacking right now. Okay, the second platform I want to talk about is Webflow. This is in the rankings for me because it's really great. It's up there with Framer, but it still has a little bit more options than Framer. It is a no-code visual builder platform. So if you're looking for a platform that you don't have to know how to code, but you still want a really robust and flexible web design platform, then Webflow would be a great option. I would say that it's usually referred to as that design and development hybrid, and it gives you kind of the best of both worlds with that. It is a little bit more difficult to learn because you do have to work a lot with classes and really understanding how that works. But the reason I love that and how you can see the granular CSS that comes with the building of the page is that the code that exports with your Webflow design is so clean. And I think that's why it's always a top choice for a lot of web designers that want that flexibility and clean code website. So it's a really great option for that, plus giving you that visual on-page builder effect. It's also a great tool for those of you who maybe work with a developer because you can have the best of both worlds where you can design, but you can also have a developer step in and help you code things and have some flexibility with customizing any areas that you really need to. So just like Framer, Webflow comes with that integrated hosting and staging, which is amazing because we always want to make sure that we're making things as easy as possible. And I will say that is a downfall with WordPress that I'll get to in a minute, is that sometimes those can be separate. So Webflow is nice that it all comes integrated together and it really gives you that flexibility with the design while having a lot of development options and flexibility with the code and the back end. But let's talk about some of the downfalls of Webflow. So Webflow is definitely more of a steep learning curve, so that is one of the downfalls. If you want something easy to learn, you want something quick and easy to learn, then Webflow might not be the best option for you. Also, at scale, the costs can rise with traffic if you're using Webflow, and it can also, this cost can rise with CMS usage and hosting tiers. So it's something to keep in mind if this actually fits within not only your budget, but your client's budget as well. Also, the complex interactions and the large scale architectures, it might still push you towards customizing with code. So that is also something to keep in mind, that it's not a completely no code platform, that you might still run into some areas where code might be required. Now let's talk about the best use cases for Webflow in 2025 and 2026. Webflow would be a great option for marketing websites. It'd also be a great option for startups and for agencies, and also a really great option for content and design heavy websites. Also, if you don't have a ton of products and you just want a really simple kind of e-commerce platform, then Webflow could be a good option, but only if you don't have super complex commerce needs. I think it'll be interesting to see how Webflow really evolves in the collaboration tools, but I also think all these platforms that aren't really known for e-commerce are probably going to evolve even more to provide more options to create a commerce store on their platforms. On the topic of e-commerce, let's talk about Shopify, which is another platform I wanted to mention in this video. Shopify is mainly only an e-commerce platform. So if a client came to me for an informational website but no products, Shopify definitely wouldn't be my first recommendation for them. But if they had a few products, or they plan to grow their shop into even more, or maybe they plan to have a shop in the future, then Shopify would be an option that I think about. But it is probably one of the most mature e-commerce platforms out there, meaning that they have really evolved to add so much customization for how you run your shop. So your POS system, the shipping options, but also the shipping notifications and order notification emails and all of the things that really go into what makes an e-commerce store function and be user-friendly. Shopify really does nail it in all of those areas. But another really cool thing about Shopify is it has a whole ecosystem of apps and plugins that you can add. So if you want to customize the Shopify site even more, there's usually always an option for it. Sometimes those apps will cost some money, but usually if the clients are willing to really make their website exactly how they want it, they won't have an issue paying for any of those apps. But there is some free apps as well to really make your Shopify website super robust. So I really do enjoy the fact that I can go and find an app to make something work and just really put it all together. Let's talk about the limitations of Shopify though, and I would say the cons of it. And that is that you don't have a whole lot of flexibility with the design. You do have flexibility to code different sections, but you just have to learn the Shopify code, which is Liquid. It's called Liquid CSS, and it does require lots of learning on how to really understand that. But the beautiful thing about their Liquid code language is that it's really difficult to break the website. I believe the Liquid code protects the website from you editing code that could potentially crash things or damage things. So it's really kind of foolproof, which has really helped me learn Shopify because I don't have a fear of like trying out code to make certain things look really nice. And I was able to code this entire client website on Shopify, and it was not that hard, you guys. And I don't consider myself a like code expert, but I was able to really utilize ChatGPT to help me create code to make things look even more custom and put together. But I will say that is a limitation and a con of Shopify is that you don't really have that drag and drop building effects. There is apps you can use to do that drag and drop building, but none of the apps I've used I really love. So I typically will build my Shopify sites off of a template and just customize it from there. So that is one of the biggest limitations of it, but it still is up there for me for an e-commerce platform. I would say the other limitation that I haven't really run into with Shopify, but I know can happen, is the scaling fees. If your store gets really popular, you have a lot of traffic to it, you might have to upgrade your site to a different plan, and that can add up, so that is something to think about. But also it's important to consider the transaction fees that come with Shopify. I know that can be a limitation and a con of Shopify as well, so something to definitely consider. So I would say the best use cases for Shopify are going to be any retail websites, any website selling digital or physical products. I know Shopify has a really great digital download option for any of the products. So I would say a shop that is going to have lots of products, that Shopify would be a great option. I usually use this rule of thumb for my clients where if they have more than 5 products or even 10 products, then we're definitely going to want to have it on a platform like Shopify, a mainly e-commerce platform, so it can really support how they're taking orders and shipping orders. But if they have 5 products, sometimes I consider using Shopify buy buttons or integrating a shop platform onto whatever platform they want to work with. But Shopify is a great option for e-commerce stores, and I've actually really enjoyed learning it. And I was intimidated by it at first because I knew that the Liquid code language was like a whole new thing for me, but it was really not that hard to learn, and I really enjoy using it now. That's actually where the Curated Collective Co website is. So if you guys want to see a live Shopify site, definitely go check that out. Now I want to talk about a platform you guys have heard me talk about many times before, and that is WordPress. WordPress, if you guys want to learn all about it, I have a video that I just posted. That doesn't mean it's like my favorite platform ever, but I'm just the most comfortable with WordPress because that's really where I learned all about websites. So check that video out if you want to learn a little bit more about how to use a website on WordPress and how to build one on WordPress. But WordPress is still up there as a great option because it is the only open source content management software for websites. That means you can have so much flexibility with not only the database of your website, but where your website's hosted, where it lives, and also how you want it to look on the front end. So it gives you pretty much everything you would need for a website, but it is a little bit more difficult to learn. But before I get to the downsides of WordPress, I want to share with you guys why it's a great option. One of the best things about it is that you can add plugins. So if your clients need any sort of custom options on their website, whether it's a calendar of events or a specific type of contact form, whatever it is that they need, it can always be done on WordPress, whether that's using code or using a plugin. There's so many options for you to make it happen. So I really love it for that, but I also love that I can add a page builder onto WordPress. So lots of page builders out there. I typically will use Divi. There's also Elementor, and there's also Bricks, and there's also so many other page builders, which gives you a lot of flexibility in picking which one works best for you and for your clients. And those page builders do make it easier for your clients to edit on their own once you hand it off to them. So I really do like that about WordPress too. But WordPress strength is also in the blogging aspect. You can really customize your posts. You can customize the categories of your posts. It's like a super robust blogging platform. The cons of WordPress are that you have to update it consistently. I would say I don't really like to let my WordPress just sit there for months and months. I like to go in there at least every month to update my plugins, make sure my WordPress is updated. And I also like to take some backups of my WordPress website just in case anything happens with the hosting platform. And that's the other downside of WordPress, is that you have to kind of have some knowledge around hosting platforms and knowing where and have your database living for your WordPress website. So that's a whole other video. That's why I filmed that one recently that talks about what WordPress is and what hosting platforms are. But that is a downside, is that not everything lives under one roof. You're most likely going to have a hosting platform, your WordPress login, as well as your domain login. So you might have 3 different logins, which can be a little bit clunky for some people, but I do think it gives you so much flexibility. So I would say WordPress is best for those clients or designers who want to have a blog, who maybe have a portfolio website. I also think it's a great informational website platform if you just have a really simple text-heavy website that you want to make really custom and flexible with the design. It really can work for any platform because it also has WooCommerce, which is good for an e-commerce store. I don't actually like WooCommerce as much as I like Shopify because it feels a little bit unsecure to me. And when I'm taking people's payments, I want to make sure everything is nice and secure and has a really great user experience. But it is a great option for smaller e-commerce stores as well. Also a great option for any clients that need to embed anything into the websites, because you can just easily add some code onto the WordPress page and it will typically load perfectly. So those are the web platforms I wanted to talk about. Now these are a few website platforms that I'm keeping my eye on. I think they're really evolving and growing and becoming really amazing tools. These platforms are better for those of you who want just a super easy, simple website to edit and design on, and that is Squarespace. Squarespace has really evolved so much since the last time I've heard of it. I actually designed a recent client website on there and it has lots of options. So I think it's a really great tool if you want everything under one roof, including an e-commerce option. So it's a really great tool for that. It's definitely up there for me, but I'm still kind of keeping my eye on it to see if it continues to evolve. I will say that I think it's a lot more expensive than a lot of the other platforms that are out there, and it still has limitations that I don't love about it, like the styling and some of the things that just feel a little more clunky and not as user-friendly to me, but it is a great option. So I wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention Wix. I have heard lots of people talking about how the Wix builder is slow or it crashes on them. That's not usually my first option to design websites on, but I am keeping my eye on Wix Studio because I think it's really evolved into an amazing option for designers, and it really gives you that customization, has an amazing CMS backend content management system, and it also has a really great animation system if you want like really fun scroll effects. I think Wix Studio has some really nice options for that. And then the other one I want to mention is Showit. I don't typically love Showit because Showit is almost too flexible, and if I hand that off to the clients, I'm afraid that they're gonna just drop images and it might just look messy and not consistent over time. So Showit's not my favorite, but it is up there for those of you designers that want like a blank artboard and want complete flexibility over it. But you just have to keep in mind that you have to check the mobile optimization before you go live with anything. So it's a great option, but not my favorite. And in this ranking sheet here, I'm gonna explain to you guys the pros and the cons and why I would use it or why I wouldn't use it. So I'm gonna leave that on the screen here for you guys right now. I really hope that this helps to kind of see like where I rank platforms and which ones I think are the best options right now. It really depends on the use case though. So you have to ask yourself what the main goal is for your website, how you're going to grow into it, what your clients really need, how comfortable your clients are editing a website. Take all of that in and then decide on the platform that is best for you and your clients. But I hope that this helped. Let me know if it did by giving this video a thumbs up. and subscribing to my channel down below. If you guys want to learn more about websites and how I design them and build them, be sure to join my Patreon. I always have a link for all of you YouTube subscribers down below. Would love to have you in there. Would love to support you in your journey to becoming a designer. But I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in my next one.